In the early 2000s, I owned an electronics retail store in a big city. We were always moderately crowded, except for the winter holidays when our customers tripled. It was the busiest time. People bought gifts from our store for their loved ones, but there were also a lot of returns. No matter what we did, we were always understaffed during this time. I always helped in the returns management and customer service during the holiday. I knew there were a lot of fake returns, so I took care of it myself. Sometimes we used to get a jar full of pickles in return instead of a speaker. And one time someone brought this pile of old clothes filled inside a cardboard box instead of a computer screen. They put random objects just for weight. Although as soon as they'd realized that we checked every single box, they would always leave without arguing. This incident happened just 3 days before Christmas. The store was busier than ever. We didn't even have a second to breathe. One of the employees informed me that a customer wanted a DVD player of a specific model. It's important to note that this was one of the most popular and expensive DVD players of the year, so we weren't sure if it would be sold easily. We had 5 players, but only one was left in stock. And that, too, was a product that was already returned. I planned to either give it away as a gift or sell it at a lower price to one of my friends. I went and saw this woman in her late 50s or so standing in front of the counter. I showed her the product and informed her that it was a returned product, but there was nothing wrong with it. It was returned within a few hours of buying. I have checked everything personally and nothing is wrong, but you are welcome to check it for yourself. Do you want me to open the box? I asked. She simply nodded her head in disagreement and asked for the bill. She then looked at the product and asked, "Do I get a discount then?" I told her that I was willing to sell it for 20% off. She did some math in her head, or so it looked like. Then she opened her wallet and paid the money in cash. I gave her the receipt and smiled, but she didn't even look at me once. I was guessing that maybe she was in a hurry. 2 days later after Christmas, we reopened for business. I was sitting in the return section when I saw this teenager fiddling with his clothes and nervously looking here and there. I thought it must be his first time returning something, so he might be anxious. Saw a woman standing next to him. I thought she looked really familiar. Then I remembered that she was the woman who bought the DVD player. Soon, their turn came, and the lady practically plonked the cardboard box carelessly on the table and said that the product was broken. Somewhere I knew this was going to happen. Well, you can't throw the box on the desk like this, ma'am. If you do that, the product ends up damaging. We won't bear any consequences, I warned her. She sighed, and the teenager kept looking back and forth at the box and his mother. "When did you find it was broken?" I asked patiently. "A day after Christmas. I'd wrapped the surprise gift for him. He was too happy. Then we realized that the product was already broken when we bought it." I knew they were lying because I had already mentioned this product was sold before and returned in a few hours. It was brought by my sister's son on a whim, and when my sister found out about it, she quickly bought it in return. I myself opened the box, checked it carefully, and then resealed it. I 100% knew it was the best condition and there was nothing wrong with it. However, the product they brought for return was scratched and there was a dent in one corner. Either they already had the same DVD player and they broke it, and this mother bought another product and tried to return it to actually get herself the refund without actually returning the real product, or the mother knew nothing about it and just believed her child's words. There could be a few more options, but either way, we weren't to blame. I politely refused and told them that I myself had checked the product before resealing it, and there was no way that it was like this when it was sold. No, we got it like that. When I opened it, it was broken and it had scratches. You're saying it like I brought a product and accidentally destroyed it, you know? That's not what happened, the teenager said in a shaky voice. His mother glared at him with big eyes. He quickly shut up and started fidgeting. I understood that the boy had almost confessed to what actually had happened. He was around 14 to 15 years old, I'd say, so I got where the nervousness was coming from. His mother was aware of the truth, 100%. Like I said, she replied, "This is how we got it. You better not gobble up the money after robbing us and selling us this broken and used product." I took a deep breath and patiently explained to her that I wasn't lying and that I had offered to show her the product before selling it. Had it been damaged, I would have tried my best to sell it quickly without giving her a chance to inspect it. The woman sighed and threw the box on the floor. "I am telling you it was damaged and you were going to pay us back, and you better pay us in full, even the 20% discount you gave. You put us through enough humiliation, so we deserve the full amount. You think I'm going to let a lowly customer service guy like you insult me? Are you insinuating that my child and I are lying? The woman was holding the queue. We were in a really busy time, and I was simply not available for a crazy customer to waste everyone's time. I calmly replied that the store could not do anything about it because we were not at fault. As soon as I sat in my seat again and asked her to move aside, she grabbed my collar and screamed at my face. She didn't say a word, she just screamed, "Ah!" I'd never seen someone behaving this way before. I had goosebumps all over. I asked her to stop, and she yelled, "I'm going to ruin your life if you don't pay up. This was a broken product. You already told us that it was a returned DVD player, which means someone opened it, used it, and then gave it to you. I know low-life workers like you very well. You don't do your job seriously. You make mistakes and you blame it on the poor customers you fooled. You aren't going to fool me. You must not have checked it properly and given it to me. Give me my money back, you dirty moron." I was frustrated. I had the sudden urge to call the cops on her and watch her stupid little body dragged out of the store. But I saw the teenager was with her, and he was young and possibly got manipulated by his mother. I didn't want him to suffer. I firmly told her that it was simply not possible, and that she had even carelessly thrown the items she brought for return twice, so there was nothing we could do for her. And then, bam! All of a sudden, she slapped my face. My ears were ringing. My cheeks had grown red. Everyone was talking in hushed tones. I told her that if she didn't remove herself, I would have to force her out of the store. Upon hearing that, she pulled the classic Karen move, cried, "I want to talk to your manager. Just wait and watch how I'll get a careless worker like you fired right now. I'm a loyal customer, you know, and you're just a poor kid who's working in this small section of the store." This was my time, finally. Irritated by her childish demands and entitled behavior, I was completely spent. I smirked inside and gave her my biggest smile and revealed that I was, in fact, the owner of the store. The boy's face dropped. He knew that there was no way he could fool me now. He took a step back and sat on the couch in the waiting area. The mother coldly stared at the kid as if warning him through her eyes that she would absolutely make him regret his actions. I proceeded to tell her that I know most of the loyal customers of the store and she was clearly not one. I was always in the store and took care of the returns during the busy times, and we had a really good relationship with our customers. I told her to ask any customer in the store if they ever felt cheated in case she wasn't sure of her moral grounds. She gulped and started panicking. Then I witnessed Karen having the most awkward meltdown. She was crying without any tears in her eyes. She started screaming and stomping her feet like a little kid. It was embarrassing and unconvincing. Everyone knew that she was just trying her best to hold on to something, anything, that would turn the situation in her favor. She kept yelling and yelling how we were robbing her and how she was going to sue us. "You're doing wrong to me. I'm telling you the truth, you cheaters. Refund me and give me the full money. Even if what you're saying is true, you were actually selling someone a used product and you almost took full money for it. I deserve to have it back. I'm not lying." "Surely," I said sarcastically. I picked up the cardboard box from the floor, handed it to the teenager, and told him that they are not welcome in our store anymore. They are banned for eternity, and if they try to start a commotion again, we will call the police and have them deal with the cops. The teen quickly grabbed his mother and tried to usher her out of the store. However, the woman was unmovable like a rock. She kept cursing and telling us that she'll destroy us. In the end, we had to call security and inform the cops about her behavior. When the cops arrived, she grew quiet, but she stubbornly kept demanding us to give her money. I told them how she slapped me, threatened us, and tried to destroy the products around her. She questioningly stared at me and I whispered, "Is it okay if I play the same game? You'll have to pay way more than the amount you were trying to take back from us." This finally calmed her down. She grabbed her child and walked away. The current heat wave reminded me of a massive blowout at a previous job back in 2017. I returned to work after a period of sickness. I come into the office to find out the lights are off and the air conditioner is off too. Well, now in the UK, air conditioning is still not standard, and being in an office where the sun hits you most of the day, it was bliss to have it on. We had filters on our windows to stop people from looking in and seeing our computer screens, but they did not stop the heat from coming through. The office was like an oven. My little desk fan did nothing, and having the lights off meant that I could barely see my screen, let alone my desk. I raised this with my manager, who was the office health and safety representative, and was told that 2 of the 20 people in the office didn't like the lights on because it made them feel hotter, so they turned all the lights off. I asked them that if it felt hot, why turn off the air conditioner? And the answer? Because they didn't like the air blowing on them when they sat. The temperature in the office was hitting 26 degrees Celsius, which is around 78 degrees Fahrenheit, and the light levels were like trying to work at dusk. I told my boss that I could not work under these conditions because they were triggering the condition that I had been off with and was told to go back to work in another office. I then tried to bring it up with the 2 people who caused this by asking why they had chosen to turn off the air conditioner and the lights, and was told that they felt too hot with the lights on and the air conditioner blew directly on them, which was too annoying. Now the lighting was ultra low emission lighting, so it gave out no heat, and when I said this, I was told that it didn't matter because it was how they felt. And if you have a problem with that, then you can go work somewhere else. I put my concerns in writing to my boss and got an email back telling me to go find another office to work in. But before I could move, he would have to approve it. Now, I was on the company H&S team, which sat over the office reps, i.e. my boss. And at the next meeting, I brought up that I understood that there was no minimum or maximum heat requirements for an office. But what were we to do if it was hitting 26 degrees Celsius, but the air conditioner was off? I was told by our CFO to turn on the air conditioner. I explained that 2 of the 20 people didn't want it. The CFO scribbled down something and said he'd look into it. I then brought up minimum light levels, for which there is legislation, and now we were falling below those. Hubby had lent me a light meter to check, which I did one lunchtime when most of the team was out. The CFO asked why it was so dark, and I said that the same 2 people insisted on all the lights being off because it felt hotter with them on. Again, frantic scribbling. I was off the next day, and then it was the weekend. I came in on Monday and the air conditioner was on, the lights on, and the 2 moaners glaring at me. Then my boss calls me into a meeting and tells me that he got shouted out by his boss, who's the big boss, because the CFO had to come in and tore him a new one over the lights and the air conditioner. Seems like the CFO had come into the office on Friday when the manager and his boss had all gone out for lunch together with the 2 moaners. You can now see how they had some influence, and talked with the rest of the office about the conditions, and they had all said it was awful. He then waited for the bosses to come back, sitting in the big boss's office, which turns out they had a long lunch. Proceeded to get into him about breaking H&S regulations over the lighting, and that if 2 out of the 20 people didn't like the office, then they had to move out, not to inflict the situation on everyone else. The air conditioner was turned on, and the lights and the CFO left. The 2 moaners went straight to the big boss and whined with their manager and were told that nothing could be done for them except that they had to find a different office if they didn't like it. They went on and on about their rights, and the big boss told them that it was not up for discussion. 2 guys who were responsible for H&S for the whole company had come in with the CFO and checked the lighting levels, and they were lower than I even thought. We were in some serious non-compliance. So, when I got called into the meeting with my boss, he was upset because he got shouted out by his boss that I had gone to the H&S committee and not gone through him. I reminded him that I had brought it up verbally and in an email, and he had emailed me back that if I was unhappy, I should move offices. Well, the big boss had thrown my boss and the boss of the 2 moaners under the bus and said he knew nothing of it. So now my boss was in trouble as the H&S office rep for allowing it to happen when he was supposed to check regulations before making decisions. Whilst I got the lights and air conditioning back on, it was a small victory. I left 3 months later. I do not blame you. I quit a warehouse because it was literally a sauna inside. It wasn't the only reason though. Someone hit a gas line and management wouldn't call the gas company. I was standing under it and almost passed out. I said I quit and called OSHA. If you don't know what that is, it's basically work safety regulation oversight, while pulling out of the parking lot. I don't know the conversation, but I'm miserable in the heat. What a perfect representation of our society in general today. A tiny minority of people don't like something, so everyone else has to tiptoe around them to accommodate their bizarre rantings. On top of that, there is the opinion is more than the fact thing, which always drives me up the wall. I could go on and on, but I don't want this to turn into a boring rant. Too late? Major props for sticking to your guns and making sure everyone else was working safely. Sounds like you're the MVP of your department, and I hope your company knows just how valuable you are.